What the hell just happened? Jack finally asked himself as the horrible sensations finally went away, and he slowly began to feel relatively normal, though exhausted. He splashed his face with the water from the bowl to cool off and calm down. He looked at his reflection in the crude mirror above the bowl, and checked that he looked normal before allowing himself a deep sigh. I've got to keep my shit together, Jack thought to himself, as he shook the water from his hands and quietly opened the door to the bathroom to head back to the cabin. Do you want to talk about it? He heard a voice from behind him. Hey, Scifi, Jack sighed. What's up? You finished putting the sensors down? All good. Everything seems quiet, the scritter nodded. Bet you're dodging the question. I'm good, Jack told her, turning back to head to their cabin. Or at least I will be. Scifi placed her hand on Jack's shoulder to stop him. Hey, she began, moving around to get face to face with Jack. I don't know how to best tell you this, and I'm probably not the best person to say it, but it's okay to admit you're feeling shitty, especially when shit like this happens. I get not wanting to talk to a shrink or whoever, but you should at least talk to us. Jack gave a deep sigh as he met Scifi's serious gaze. Something about seeing the spirited, whimsical scritter looking seriously worried about him hurt in ways he couldn't fathom, and as he looked into Scifi's deep, dark eyes, he knew he couldn't brush her off. There was a hell of a lot of shit back there, Jack retorted with a humorless chuckle. Damn it. I thought after we robbed the Shasakazaki distribution center I was getting used to this kind of stuff. Jack, that was an ambush by a well-trained and well-equipped force that knew where we'd be and would attempt to kill us, Scifi pointed out. None of us are used to that. The others are probably bottling up their own feelings on what just happened too. Now that we're winding down for the whole rush of the thing, it's going to catch up with us. Has it caught up with you? Oh yeah. Scifi nodded with a deep breath. Their slicer was a piece of work, but I mentioned that Vivrin too. Had I fucked up at any point, things could have gotten a lot worse, so you and Dante did a good job keeping her occupied. Thanks. I'm right back at you too. Those turrets definitely helped, Jack admitted with a nod. I honestly thought I was going to die there. Sure. It was a tough fight. Probably one of the toughest we've ever been in, Scifi admitted. But you know what? What? Jack asked. Scifi nodded with determination. All the advantages they could bring to the fight, and they couldn't fucking do it, because we're just that fucking awesome. Huh. Jack couldn't help but laugh in agreement at the scripter's bold words. That's true. Scary as hell, but I guess we got through it in one piece, at least physically. And now it's just a bad memory that will fade away over time, Scifi reasoned. You don't need to be afraid of the Redeemer anymore because you stood up to that son of a bitch, and you put him down for good. Yeah, Jack nodded, smiling subtly at his victory over the Redeemer, not really knowing what else he could say right now. Yeah, the scritter nodded, before looking at Jack a bit more seriously. But hey, if you're ever feeling rough, you really should talk with us about it. Don't try and hide it for our sake. I don't want to try and compare or contrast or any of that shit, but all of us have had past issues we've had to work out to keep our heads in the game. We're here for each other. You're right, Jack nodded, before chuckling slightly. How long have I even known you guys? Probably about 2 months in my time, since your weeks are longer than ours. Feels like it's been even longer, though. I found that living, stealing, and fighting together for a common cause under risky circumstances tend to forge bonds quickly, Scifi shrugged. It happened when I first met Nika, and over the course of one night, we went from classmates with Valora and Chio to friends willing to live together. But you're not wrong. We've rushed into a lot of things since we've met, but more time together will make it make sense. Thanks, Scifi, Jack nodded with a slight content smile, giving a more content sigh as he felt some of the weight on his chest subside. Any time, the scritter grinned, as she led the way back to the cabin. Just don't keep shit to yourself to try and look macho or strong. You almost single-handedly killed a fucking ogre, for God's sake. You don't need to prove anything. Yes, ma'am, Jack joked with a salute as they both opened the door, looking to the girls who had obviously been listening and had likely heard everything. Scifi simply gave them a look of reassurance before they dropped anything they were about to say. Nika was the one to finally break the silence. Hey, Jack, can I check over your armor real quick? Chio took a few hits too, so maybe you can use those gauntlets of yours to take a look and make sure it'll be fine. The auto repair should slowly move and harden the plates back into position over time, but I want to be sure there's nothing major. No problem, Jack shrugged, as he shuffled over to Chio. Artifacts. The group spent the next half hour unwinding and checking their gear, glad to sample some of Nika's new drink powders in the process, as they sat back and allowed the stress of Cypherport to fade away. Shame you couldn't take his gun, Nika pointed out. Something that packs a punch like that? Hell of a thing to have. It got broken in the fight. I wasn't going to let him shoot it twice, Jack shrugged. Plus that thing was huge. I don't know if I could have even used it. And there was no way I could have easily taken it with me when we were running. Perhaps you can purchase another with your share of the reward, Chia proposed. Maybe, Jack shrugged. Honestly, I haven't even thought about what I want to spend the money on. Probably just improvements for the home. Shares are split evenly between all members of the team, with an extra share for home improvements, another for the pantry, and another on anything else we collectively need after the costs of business are calculated. Allura reminded him. I know that, Jack nodded. I just don't know what else I'd spend it on apart from hiring the library people to try and give me some answers. That won't be cheap, but you'll be earning more from this job, Chio told him. Surely there's got to be something you want to buy. Honestly, I don't know, Jack shrugged. I barely know anything about this universe, so how would I know what I want to buy? A spaceship would be cool. Ha! Nika snorted. I assume you mean a long-distance drift-capable ship? As good as we are, that's way out of our price range, and even if we took on a lot more riskier jobs, saved up and pulled our resources, we wouldn't be able to get a very good one. Jack, what would you buy if you had a lot of money on your homeworld? Allura asked, as the others looked on with interest. That's easy, Jack grinned. Probably a new PC with some games to go with it, and some stuff to decorate my room, I guess. Jack, I don't think you've decorated your room since you arrived, Chio pointed out. You could always get yourself some posters and perhaps some better furniture. Not a bad idea, Jack acknowledged with a nod. I guess when I first arrived, I expected it to be a temporary thing until I was able to get back to Earth, and then from there I just never thought about it. If you were living at the Temple of Hope for almost a month before we met you, you're probably just used to it. I'm expecting you just had a bed and a cupboard over there? Nika asked. Pretty much, Jack admitted. Plus a small vase of dried flowers that was already there. Well, that settles it. You're decorating your room when we get back and you don't get to say no. Allura told Jack, only half-jokingly, as the others laughed. It can't be worse than Scifi's, Chio grinned. Worse than mine? Any lich or vampire out there would accuse you of plagiarism. Scifi pointed at the Alethi. Bookshelves and candles in a basement? Really? Well, we can all think about it while we wait, Nika shrugged, using her tail to grab a bottle of water. We'll get a better idea for a time frame when it's day again. We should be a few hours from now. I'm pretty sure the river narrows down about a third of the way, Jack noted. Recalling what he saw of the maps they had obtained, and still being somewhat baffled about how the local geography worked. Not that he was ever the best at that particular subject. Logically, I'd want it to be daytime when tackling those due to the possible dangers. I doubt it will be daylight for all of us, but yes, I agree, Chio nodded. I know we rested before Cypherport, but we might as well catch whatever rest we can while we can't do anything else. Can't hurt to try, Scifi shrugged, then smirked. But we've got nowhere to hang up the hammocks, and all we have is an oversized armchair and a straw mattress. That's your problem, Chio smiled, as she floated up into a lotus position. I'll warn you if I sense anything. Dibs on the chair, Nika called before everyone else, quickly jumping up and curling into a ball. I don't think I can sleep right now, Jack sighed, as Laura and Scifi scooted up on the straw mattress to give him enough room to lay down on. But I'll settle for a lie down at least. Woof! Dante agreed with a contented bark, as the dog curled up next to him. Eventually, Jack was woken out of his thankfully uneventful sleep by the sounds of heavy footsteps approaching, quickly springing up and grabbing his plasma rifle before Chio held up a hand to reassure him. Single individual, likely to check up on us. They're not moving urgently, the Alethi told him, as the others quickly stirred into action too. It hadn't been a very comfortable rest for any of them. Though their armor was well fitted and didn't chafe, their injuries that Allura had healed with her magic still itched, and didn't allow them much sleep even after taking some mild painkillers. Fortunately, after their previous experience spending an entire night traversing the city during a local war, They had all learned to pack whatever they need to stay awake and keep their energy levels up in an emergency. Though Chia was banned from eating too many sweets at once. A surprisingly gentle knock rapped on the door, with Alora already in position to answer it, surprising the woman on the other side. Her long black hair flowing back, she retreated a respectable distance, as the door was opened wide so all of them could see who it was. "Greetings, honored guests!" The green-skinned giant beamed at them, with a wide, genuine smile. "I am Priestess Flows and Streams. We are just about to be greeted by the light of the new day, and the captain has deemed it safe for you to move freely, though we invite you to observe our morning prayers for good winds and calm waters." Alora looked around at the team for any complaints, and upon not finding any, quickly agreed. "Of course, we will be honored." "Then please, follow me." The priestess nodded at the group. "Though you may not be in the embrace of Illis, you are welcome to pay homage to the Lady of the Currents or to your own gods, but I must insist that you do not disrupt our ritual." "That won't be a problem," Alora answered, as they quickly followed. "Illis, it looks like our research paid off," Tshirt privately told the group. "These river giants are probably the Asi-di Nushi we read about that worship Illis, religious and true to their word." As they were quickly led down the corridor towards the stairs, Jack saw many more river giants begin to exit the cabins, with a few giving him some very quizzical looks as they marched upstairs, though the giants made sure to give the rest of them a wide berth to avoid any accidents. Led to the main deck of the vessel, the group passed the building at the stern they had all come from, and could see that there was indeed a mast at the centre of the ship, with a sail that 2 of the crew were in the process of unfurling, likely to time it with what passed for a sunrise around here. Past this, there was a wide open area with several crates of cargo latched into position with rope as thick as Jack's arm, though they saw a huge trap door that likely indicated most of the cargo was stored underneath the ship. There were also several vertical poles strategically placed with dimming lanterns, and, looking at the loops and hooks attached, Jack realized that they were likely there to help create a temporary roof of canvas in the event of poor weather. Making their way to the front of the ship, the group were politely motioned to wait to the side out of the way of the incoming foot traffic, allowed to observe the gathered river giants at the ship's bow. Jack could see that, while it was still dark, he could see a lot better without his shades, thanks to the strong glow of light somewhere far in the distance, as the orbital plate above that was blocking the light of the local star gradually began to fully pass over them. Very quickly this glow grew in intensity, barely topping the huge trees in the distance, before he was suddenly engulfed in daylight, as if with the flick of a switch. He'd never truly get used to the sunrises around here. They lacked the gradual grace of the ones on Earth, though it was no less awe-inspiring to observe. "O great lady of the flowing waters, hear our humble plea!" Priestess Flows and Streams called out, her booming voice easily rising over the background of the splashing ripples of the water, and a few bird calls. "Keeper of the rivers, mighty and free, grant us your blessing this day, so our journey may be." "So our journey may be," the assembled river giants echoed, and as they shifted, Jack could see the shrine at the very tip of the bow, a large decorated piece of flotsam carved into a statue of a smiling river giant, bearing a burning torch in one hand, and some kind of spyglass in the other. "Bless our sails with winds, strong and pure, away from danger, swift and sure." Priestess Flows and Streams continued, raising her arms. "Calm the waters, serene and still, as we journey each bend and hill. Watch over us, great Illis divine, and may your guiding light eternally shine." "And may your guiding light eternally shine," the river giants echoed. With the final words spoken, the priestess lowered her hands as the river giants stood there in silent reverence, with some mouthing a few individual prayers under their breath. God, Astara, anyone who will listen at this point? Jack thought to himself. Whatever happens, please can this actually go well for a change? "Right! You have your duties!" Captain Ripples on Salt suddenly yelled out to the crew, after about a minute's silence had passed. "Gosrith's fingers narrow as we enter the Forest of Fangs, so I want you all on alert for any Zorn sightings. Illis willing, we get past it by nightfall. Understood?" Yes, Captain! The other river giants acknowledged their orders, as they moved to their stations with practiced discipline.
Perhaps we can ask the captain about what kind of opposition we can expect, Geo asked. I'm not surprised about the Zorn, but perhaps they know of other hostile forces in the area. Good idea, Oliver nodded, as the captain approached them.
Thank you for your cooperation so far, honoured guests. The captain greeted them, after ensuring that there were no issues with the crew. We have made good progress. However, as you just heard, I do have concerns about the Forest of Fangs. Ill is willing, we'll get through without problems, but if you would be willing to help provide overwatch when we get there, it would certainly still the nerves of the crew.
The Zorn, Nika spoke up. How bad is it?
We've increasingly seen more patrols in that area. They've never bothered us, but they've been getting bolder, getting closer to the bank, sometimes following us on land. The captain grimaced. It's partly why we've avoided that area for so long.
How big are the patrols? Jack asked.
Biggest we've seen is about 30, but normally between 10 and 20, the captain told them, not sounding too bothered by this.
What other dangers might we encounter, especially at our destination? Geo asked.
We've seen the occasional beast drinking at the shore, but they usually keep their distance from us, the captain told them with a shrug. My crew and I rarely stray far from the bank. I couldn't tell you what else there might be out there, but the Zorn are the most prolific that we commonly see.
We can handle Zorn, Oliver nodded. And uncommon? Scifi perked up.
Isolated monster sightings, but we've never got a good look at one. The moment they sense us coming, they run away and hide, so I've never considered them a problem. I did see a flight of rocks one time a few months ago, but they never bothered us.
You don't know what the monsters are? Jack asked.
We've never had a good sighting of them. The captain shrugged again. Some of my crew say they saw something big and furry one time. Some others say they saw something elongated and spindly. They probably just saw a brief glimpse of an animal in the distance, that's all. Though, actually, come to think of it.
Yeah? Jack prompted.
It's silly. I lost my focus and thought I saw something on the opposite bank. A flash of movement from something pale as ivory. But in the next moment I saw nothing. I didn't think about it until you mentioned it. A good spooky story for the crew when we get to safer waters. But I doubt it was anything.
Alright, we can keep watch, Nika nodded. Where do you want us?
Right here will do.
The captain smiled, as she gestured to where they were standing on the cargo deck.
We'll have guards reinforcing when the river narrows some more, who will set up cover and defenses. Just assist them however you feel you can.
We'll do so, Allura agreed. In the meantime, what would you have us do?
You may do as you wish, but I ask that you please do not distract my crew unless necessary. We have a pot of stew on the fire if you wish to partake.
Can I fish here? Jack asked with a grin, checking his gauntlets. Is there anything edible?
These rivers are plentiful with edible fish, the captain beamed, clearly an enthusiast. We usually use nets with the smaller creatures, though sometimes there are larger fish we use rods for if we detect them and need to add to the stew.
Cool, Jack grinned, before suddenly remembering something. The fish aren't, going to give me the shits or anything, are they?
I do not know. I haven't encountered your species before, the captain replied, as if the answer was obvious. But I have never known there to be problems. If you do suffer these kinds of consequences, one of my crew can hold you over the side while you, conduct your business.
Thanks, Jack grinned as the captain took his leave. Fishing rod, he exclaimed, holding out his hands, and sure enough, an ebony rod of flexible metal with the insignia of Clan Barsam appeared in his hands with a pale wire and light silvery lure ready to go. Okay, that's pretty cool, Nika grinned. Can you summon multiple? I wouldn't mind giving this a try. I don't know, Jack pondered, before trying it a second time, with another rod appearing in his hands to hand over to the Kizan. Nothing appeared on the third try, however. There is most likely an upper limit to what you can request, Chio shrugged. I take it you've read the manual they gave you and have been practicing? Yep, Jack smirked. Haven't fully worked out the grapple yet. When we learned what the job was, I figured it wouldn't come into much use here. Still, being able to summon things is awesome. The caltrops were especially useful during the ambush. That was a great risk to take in a brawl like that, Chio warned. What if you or any of one of us stepped on them by accident? Especially Dante, who doesn't have boots.
Caltrops, Jack spoke calmly, with the most mischievous grin the guards had ever seen on him. He dropped one to the ground, letting it softly rattle on the wooden deck. Before, without any hesitation or warning, he slammed his foot straight down on the thing. "No!" the others yelled, recoiling in shock and horror as he did, but warily stopped on seeing Jack's laughter, showing no signs of pain whatsoever. He raised his foot off the ground, revealing the squashed disc of metal underneath that quickly popped back into shape before being dismissed. "That's the fun part of these things." Jack looked to the others with a shit-eating grin. "They won't hurt me or anyone I consider an ally." "You bastard!" Scifi finally yelled at him. "Don't scare us like that!" "Sorry," Jack cackled. "I couldn't resist."